For those of you who have been through a divorce, I want to kick off this explainer by acknowledging something that's very real, but honestly, often kept very quiet. The financial timeline you thought you had, right? That whole future you were meticulously planning for, it was suddenly just cut in half. We really don't talk enough about the sheer financial shock of a marriage ending at 40, but today we're going to look that reality right in the eye. And I know a lot of you are tuning into this explainer right now because your own financial path hit a sudden, totally unexpected cliff. The source material we're diving into today comes from Rachel. She's a creator who came to the stark realization that every single financial independence chart out there assumes this perfectly smooth, uninterrupted line of compounding interest going steadily up and to the right. But, well, life isn't always a smooth line, is it? Sometimes the ground just completely gives way, and as she put it, hers has a cliff in it. For Rachel, the marriage ended at 40, but it actually took until she was 43 to muster up the courage to sit down and add everything up. And when she finally did, the entire pile, literally everything she owned, amounted to exactly $13,000. That was it. That was the starting balance for the rest of her life. Section 1, the starting line, at 43 years old. Okay, let's dive into this. Because we're transitioning from the emotional reality of starting over to the hard, cold, mathematical reality of it, because numbers, unlike complex life situations, are something we can actually manage and solve. Think about this. If you take that starting balance of $13,000 at age 43 and you just leave it alone and an assumed 7% average annual return, it becomes just under $54,000 by age 65. And let's be real, that is absolutely not a retirement. That's what, a used car and one very stressful year? So if you're starting from a number that looks like this, or maybe even in the negative, listen to me, you are not alone down here. Section 2, the 3 real costs of divorce. It's not just the lawyer. To understand exactly how we rebuild, we first have to understand the sheer size of the hole we're climbing out of. You see, people often mistakenly think that a divorce is just one big cost, the lawyer. But as our source material brilliantly breaks down, the lawyer is actually the smallest part of the financial devastation. There are 3 hidden, structural costs that truly drain a person's net worth during a split. We've got the duplication, the split, and the pause. Let's walk through exactly how these mechanically dismantle a financial timeline. The first hidden cost is the duplication. And this brilliantly illustrates the problem. A household doesn't just split neatly in half, it duplicates. If a shared household costs, say, $6,200 a month, you don't magically just get 2 $3,100 households. No way. You have to get a completely new apartment, pay 2 electric bills, 2 internet bills, 2 insurance policies, the whole shebang. It jumps to $8,900 a month for the exact same human beings. That is a massive 44% increase in the baseline cost of just existing. Then we hit the second cost, which is the split. Let's say you had $200,000 in marital retirement accounts, right? And you keep your half, so $100,000. The staggering true cost here is the half you lost. Over the 21 years left until age 65, at a 7% return, that missing $100,000 would have compounded to over $414,000. That lost compounding, that is the real size of this line item. And finally, the cost that absolutely kills the long-term timeline. The pause. Because let's face it, practically nobody contributes to their retirement during a divorce. You're busy paying filing fees, you're buying a new couch, you're just trying to survive. But pausing a $625 monthly investment for 5 years doesn't just cost you that upfront cash. By age 65, that mechanical pause creates a massive gap of over $185,000. I actually want to pause for a quick second and ask you, what was the line item that blindsided you? For the creator of our source material, it was dropping nearly $600 just to rebuy basic kitchen items. We're talking pots, pans, a can opener. It literally led to her sitting in a parking lot for 20 minutes just processing the shock of it. Tell me your most shocking post-split expense down in the comments. I guarantee you someone watching this is about 3 weeks away from that exact same expense, and they really need to know they aren't going crazy. Section 3, the first 90 days. Stabilize, don't optimize. So how do we actually fix this? Let's move into the solution phase. In the first 90 days after a massive financial shock, your immediate goal is not picking the perfect asset allocation or, optimizing your portfolio. Your one and only job is simply building a solid floor to stand on. So here's your 4-step stabilization checklist. Step 1, separate absolutely everything into your own name. And yes, that includes pulling your credit reports to check for any weird attached accounts. Step 2, save a small, say $2,000 to $2,500 cash buffer.
Why? Because relying on credit cards as an emergency fund when you get a flat tire can trap you in high-interest debt and literally cost you a decade of progress. Step 3 is updating your beneficiaries. And step 4, rebuild the budget based on actual data.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to stop right here. I want you to literally pause this explainer right now. Go open your 401k app or website and check your beneficiary field. Seriously, it takes 90 seconds to check and 90 seconds to fix. Do not, under any circumstances, leave your ex as the default beneficiary by accident. Go check it. Okay, coming back to step 4 on that list, you have to read your own bank statements like you're a complete stranger to find your true core number. Rachel did this and found her baseline was exactly $3,275 a month. And I really want you to notice the income side of this equation. A $73,000 9-to-5 plus $1,800 a month part-time. That second job, that wasn't about some blind ambition to get ahead. It was an absolute structural necessity to make the math work again.
Section 4. The rebuild timeline, shorter than the grief. So the crucial point is, rebuilding $100,000 does not take 20 years. This is the biggest realization of the entire explainer. If you're starting over at absolute zero, and you can invest that $1,800 a month from a part-time job at a 7% return, reaching $100,000 takes just 48 months. That is exactly 4 years. And hey, even if you can only manage a $625 monthly contribution, it takes 113 months, so about 9.5 years. The takeaway? Even a devastating asset split is really just a 4 to 9 year math problem.
I just want to let this next thought sit for a second. The grief takes longer than the money does. The financial hole feels like it completely ended your life, but mathematically speaking, the money repairs itself faster than your heart does. And honestly, I think that is a profoundly comforting truth.
Now, here is the exact specific sequence you need to clear the runway for heavy investing. Step 1, brutally eliminate consumer debt and car loans. Rachel actually knocked this out in just 18 months. Step 2, tackle the remaining low-interest debt, like those pesky student loans. And step 3, max out the Roth IRA and just stack everything else right on top of it. Basically, you have to clear the brush before you can plant the trees. Section 5, your second half, the compounding cares that you started. Once that foundation is stabilized and the messy debt is finally cleared, consistent action produces results that feel like pure magic, but are really just math. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the speed of recovery. Just 18 months after starting from practically zero at age 43, look at this. Over $20,000 in a 401k, almost $9,000 in a Roth, and $9,000 in cash. That is nearly $40,000 built up in a year and a half, starting from scratch as a single parent. Look, if you plug these exact numbers into a standard online retirement calculator targeting, say, $1.75 million, it's going to bleakly tell you that retirement is delayed until age 76. Ouch, right? But those calculators have a fatal flaw. They assume you are standing still. They don't factor in your hustle, they don't see your future promotions or your structural part-time income. You are not standing still, not for one single day. Before we wrap up here, I really want to foster some community. If you are watching this and you're already on the other side of your rebuild, do me a favor. Leave a comment right now for the person who is currently in month 2, exhausted, and reading this at 2 a.m. Tell them exactly what year it got better for you, because they need to know for sure that the line does eventually go back up. And please, I really want you to internalize this realization. Your divorce did not set your retirement back. Not investing after it is what would. You are simply running a completely different race now. Yeah, it's one with a much, much harder first mile. But the only part that is still entirely in your control is what you choose to do next.
Because the honest truth is, compounding interest does not care why you started late. It doesn't care about your ex, or your expensive lawyer, or the kitchen pots and pans you had to rebuy. It only cares that you finally started. Grab the free spreadsheet mentioned in the source material, go update those beneficiaries, and begin your second half. So I'll leave you with this final question. What step will you take to start your rebuild today?